Yes, it's been a minute since I've made a video, but if I learned anything from all the dating I did in my bachelor years, it is to lead people on for months and promise all of the things and just drag things out as long as possible until you're just about to leave me and then post a video. Follow these directions for your own YouTube channel or even your dating life, and you'll have guaranteed success. It has over 9,000 success rate, 10 out of 10 every time. Maybe my next video will be about dating. Sorry, getting off topic, this channel is about cameras and stuff. More specifically, today I'm going to be going over 10 things that you didn't know about the Panasonic S1H. If you already did or do know, send me your address down in the comments below and I'll send you a gold star. I may even sign it. You're welcome. Since it's been so long, you guys probably need a reminder. My name is Dustin, your video tour guide, and please keep your arms and legs inside your chairs at all times. Sit back, relax, and enjoy the video. The first thing you didn't know is this thing. Okay, so we can all agree that the charging cable for the batteries is like one of those three puzzles. There's only one way to solve it and put it together, but it makes no sense looking at it until you finally do it once, and it's much easier after that. There is, believe it or not, a reason for this design. This contraption is actually made for DC power for your camera. That's right, you don't have to buy a dummy battery after buying the camera. All you have to do is buy this camera, and it comes included. DC power can be super useful when you're filming a longer event, or if you plan to use your camera for live streaming, and I think it's awesome that, for one, it actually comes with a battery charger, unlike my A7 III, but having it double as DC power for your camera is super slick, smart idea. For our next thing, yes, I'm going to call them things, our first ACs and focus pullers are going to love. Now, for the record, I call myself a video tour guide, but I'm not a scientist. I'm just a young YouTuber who pretends he knows what he's talking about. Now that I put out that disclaimer, focus on a camera is determined by distance. Basically, when you focus, you're telling the lens which light rays you want to be focused on your sensor plane. This is where computers and tools are much better at doing things than humans, like measuring the distance from your sensor to your focus mark. Before the digital age of HD monitors and focus tools like focus peaking, this is literally how filmmakers kept people in focus. They weren't staring at reference monitors, they were literally measuring the distance from your sensor to different focus marks that the talent was going to be at. This, surprisingly, is still a common thing that focus pullers do, and the Panasonic S1H did something to make it easier to measure this. It's a small ergonomics thing, but if you notice, the left camera strap is perfectly aligned with the sensor. Oh, and if you didn't know what this little symbol is, it means that this is where the sensor is inside the camera and the place you measure from if you're a focus puller. Did I just give a bonus secret? Bonus secret! So, why is this a big deal? Take a look at my Sony camera, for example. If you want to measure from that spot, you'd need someone to hold the tape measure in place or stand there yourself and measure, but tape measures only go so far doing it that way. With the S1H, you can hook on the side of that strap and measure for yourself. Easy peasy. Let's move on. The third thing I kind of touched on in another video, which you can watch here, is timecode sync. There's a little tiny flash socket on the front of your camera. You unscrew this little cap and it reveals it. Also, warning, do not lose that little cap unless you don't want your camera to be weather sealed, which wouldn't make sense because then you can't frolic through the rain with your camera instead of running like a scared schoolgirl to save it. Your S1H will come with a BNC conversion cable that looks like this. Just plug and secure that cable, and now set your time code to either sync in or out, depending on your situation on set. If you don't know what time code is, if you plan on being on any film sets, be sure you learn, because time code is probably one of the best ways to make sure you can easily sync all your cameras and audio together without a hiccup. The fourth thing is a full-size HDMI. Now, this one isn't crazy, but it's a very big deal. You may be very used to other mirrorless cameras that have either mini HDMI, like what the f, or even micro HDMI. Most likely you don't have either of those cables, so you have to buy them and then carry it around this random HDMI cable that you only use for this camera, but you definitely have a full-size HDMI laying around somewhere, guaranteed. If you don't, well, I got nothing for you. Having this is very convenient to hook up a client monitor or even just a monitor for yourself, which I kind of really need. I have come to realize doing more and more of these videos. One day when I'm not poor, maybe I'll get an external monitor it'll sit right under the camera, like right down here. Yeah, just out of sight, so I can actually see myself. I have to look clear over here to see because I got this whole contraption set up when I'm doing these. So anyways, moving on. The fifth thing is this new Flippy Tilty screen design. Sure, flippy screens like this are nothing new, but Flippy Tilty screens are very much new. Now, I'm fairly certain they didn't make this Flippy Tilty screen just to be different, but there is actually a lot of thought put into it. If you have ever used just a flippy screen, you'll know that it becomes kind of useless once you start plugging things into your camera. With the Panasonic S1H though, you can do all the flippy and tilty you want with your screen, even having all of your ports plugged in. Like a lot of things on this camera, this is just another ergonomics feature where again, was a lot of thought put into the design. The sixth thing is the sensor. The sensor has an optical low pass filter, or OLPF. First, what is OLPF and what's the advantages to having one? Basically, it's a filter that is built in front of the sensor. The advantages to having an OLPF is to reduce moire and display accurate colors. So basically what this means is in 15 years, when I've got my tight pattern button-up dad shirt on these YouTube videos, not only will you be able to know what color it is accurately, but you won't get some of that nasty moire that's just really distracting to look at. Kind of ruins the video. Or maybe next week you're filming an executive with a tight pattern button-up. No need to fear, the OLPF has got you covered. One other thing you guys may like about an OLPF is that it reduces the sharpness of your image, which can give a more filmic look. I don't know about you guys, but I tend to steer clear from over sharpening my videos, and that sharp digital look just doesn't do it for me. So I appreciate my OLPF on my S1H. The seventh thing are the buttons. Now, what do I mean by buttons? Take my Sony a7 III for example. When you run your finger across different buttons, notice how they feel the same? Now you're probably thinking, yeah, duh, they're supposed to feel the same because if they weren't, I'm a creative and everything has to be perfect and symmetrical. This is where you have to look past your perfectionismness. That's a word, just go with it. Basically what I'm saying is with the S1H, you can have your finger on any button and know what button you're touching. For example, the ISO button has 2 little bumps on it. You might think too that the buttons next to it are the same. No, look again. The white balance button is just ever so slightly taller than the exposure set button. It also has kind of a more round shape to it. The custom button on the front as well, one has an indent in the button and the other does not. Oh, and I know I make a lot of videos about this camera praising it, but there are things I don't like about it, like this little lens lock button so close to the custom buttons. I accidentally press it all the time. Maybe I'll make a video talking about the things I don't like. Comment down below if you'd like that. Oh, and I can't forget, even the scroll wheels to adjust shutter and aperture are different. Although if you just look at the shutter scroll wheel wrong, I swear, it spins on its own. I swear. Like, I look down and I'm like, change my shutter. What the heck? Sorry, this video is about the things I love. So moving on, the eighth thing is this secret switch on the front. I don't know about you, but if you are ever shooting in a super low light scenario and you're not extremely familiar with a camera, it's impossible to see the buttons. Or maybe you're just using your camera at night for a star time lapse, you can't see your buttons. Well, if you flip past the on button on the S1H, it lights up the buttons as well as your display on the top of the camera. Yeah, like that's unheard of on like any of the mirrorless cameras, and I just think it's a really cool addition. The ninth thing is touch display. Now, most of you probably know that it is a touchscreen, but there is a secret display that a lot of RED users, and especially VariCam or EVA users, will love. If you hit the display button until this menu pops up, everything on the camera can be adjusted just right here with the touch of a button. Or should I say, with the touch of a screen. You want to adjust shutter? Easy. You want to change record settings? No problem. Everything you see can be adjusted except for the fan. You got to do that in the menu. I mentioned I like this because if you are using this camera in a more cinema production and you have it rigged and kitted out, you can basically operate it the same way you would other touchscreen cinema cameras would. And this is the exact same screen you see on a VariCam or EVA if you're curious. The last and final thing, yes, number 10 is kind of one of my favorites. I told you guys about this setting in one of my previous videos, but who here is totally versed in camera settings lore? Not me. Like for example, what the fetch is master pedestal level? Huh. Well, I could Google it and find out, or wait a second, I own an S1H. And it has this handy dandy trick it can do. If you don't know what a setting is on the S1H, all you gotta do is hit the display button and wham! Now you know that master pedestal level will adjust the reference black level of the video. And yeah, this works on any of the settings inside the menu on the S1H. All right, friends, there is 10 things you didn't know about the S1H. And I actually am genuinely sorry it's taken me so long for me to post this video. I got super busy at my full-time job and went to LA for a shoot, which was super interesting. And I couldn't find a gaffer that was in LA, and I was planning on shooting this video there, but I was so dead tired when I got back to my hotel, I just couldn't. Call me weak, that's fine, call me weak. Oh, and funny thing, I actually was shooting on a Red and my S1H while I was there. And when I was carrying my S1H towards the end of the day, I tripped. But no joke, this camera is built like a tank and there's just a tiny scratch on it. Is that a bonus thing I love? Bonus thing I love! I've also been doing a lot of things on my house because let's just say there may not be a ton of videos that will be done in this house anymore. Ooh. Anyways, thanks so much for watching. If you found it helpful, be sure to give it a double thumbs up. And of course, I have more videos in the works, so be sure to hit the subscribe button and the bell button if you want to be notified when I upload those videos. But until that time, happy filming.